Hello and welcome to Securing a Data Center, a non-definitive guide. This is episode 1, SIEM. What is it and why do I need it? First off, the Securing a Data Center started as a mini-series, and I realized that it's going to be a rather large mini-series, seeing as how I do security and I like to talk. So um, that means that it's just going to be its own thing. It's just easier. Anyway, moving forward. So a SIEM, what is it and why do I need it? A SIEM stands for a Security uh, Information and Event Management System. Essentially, it's glorified logs. A good example is here. So security information and event management is a set of tools and services. I'm not going to read that, but the point is that it's real-time log collection and finding uh, all your logs in one place, a single plane of glass, if you will. Or is it pane? Is it single pane glass? Yes, I think it's pane. Anyway, a single point for you to see all of your data. There are lots of options out there. It's mainly all about data collection. You can do policies and correlation and things of that way. You can also do notifications through them. Um, Sometimes that costs a little extra, sometimes it doesn't. There are lots of programs and things out there in general for you to be able to use as a SIEM, one of which, and probably the most popular right now anyway, is Splunk, at least in the enterprise world. Splunk is amazing. It's very easy to use, doesn't require a whole bunch of query languages or anything like that. It's just normal English. You can do some complex stats and things of that nature. You can make dashboards. You can create events and schedule reports and logs and lots of great stuff. It does many things. As you see here, it says free Splunk, but it's not really free. The way it works is it's on ingestion of data. So the more data you have, she's just having a good old time, isn't she? She's just like, yeah, look at this data. Anyway, no data limits is what they say, but they also say down here, the little asterisks of based on this infrastructure pricing, and unlimited predictive pricing tiers. So again, it costs on ingestion. So the more data you throw at Splunk, the more it costs, which isn't a terrible model. It's better than that way if you're just dipping your toe into it, you could throw just a little bit of logs its way, and maybe free Splunk will work for you. Let's not click on that because that goes to that thing. But as you start getting more and more into that world of collecting more and more data, you may decide to move away from Splunk, or maybe Splunk free isn't going to be enough for you. That's okay. There's lots of other options on the market. Graylog is a good one. Actually, all of these are pretty good that I'm going to talk about. But Graylog is a little less known than some others, but it's really great software. It works pretty well. I was introduced to it probably 2 years ago. I was at a SANS conference, and Chris, oh gosh, I cannot remember his name. Open, hold on, opensoc.io. I will find his name. Hold on a second. Let's go to team. And yeah, this guy. He's a genius. So he created the whole idea of opensoc.io, and that's a training thing. Basically, open source tools to help you run your security operations center. And this is a great training. I haven't gone to it, but I've heard good things. And he outlines some of the big players. And here's Graylog here. And you've also got you've got Snort, you've got Elastistack, Moloch, which is amazing by the way. OpenSense, which is my personal favorite firewall. You've also got pfSense, which is a firewall that actually OpenSense is built on. Used to be my favorite until recently. Some of these other things we're going to go into over the course of the series. Anyway, getting back to SIEMs. So ElastiStack is another one that's free. Um, and Elastic, it's called an ELK stack. That's because it's Elasticsearch, which is the search backend. It's all JSON based, which is awesome because JSON's easy to read. Also, there's Kibana, which helps you read and give you a nice presentation layer on top of that data. And then where's the L come from? Well, it comes from Logstash. Logstash is a translator. It changes your data to meet the needs of whatever you're pulling into, in this case, ElastiStack. Beats is great because they're lightweight shippers that basically grab data and automatically configure them so that they're good to use into Elasticsearch. As a matter of fact, you can go straight from Beats to Elasticsearch without having to go through Logstash. I still say go through Logstash just because later on you may decide to throw more data in that maybe doesn't come from a Beats backend, in which case you need Logstash anyway to help translate that data into something that's useful. So Elasticsearch ELK stacks are free. They're enterprise. There is a free version. There's also some that you can pay for. And there's nothing wrong with that also, because everyone's kind of going to SaaS, security as a service type products. Matter of fact, Nagios, of all places, is actually starting to get into logging as well. They used to be just monitoring, but now they're doing log monitoring, which is basically what SIEMs do. And you see that, like they've got bunches of different things they're starting to work on to kind of branch out a little bit into the space. Grafana, we also got to talk about Grafana. Grafana is great. It is also built on Prometheus. That's not very helpful. There we go. Prometheus. Not the movie, but this is also a good, basically a data collection source. They do have visualization, which is provided by Grafana. I clicked on that, I swear. Okay, so Grafana, okay. It makes very pretty dashboards. You can set limits for it to start notifying you on alerting. Here you can see all that stuff. And Grafana is even starting to branch out on their own with Loki, which also does basically the same thing. It was heavily inspired by Prometheus. That's a good way of saying that we stole the idea and we're going to try to make it better. So why do you need it, right? Because we've covered a bunch of SIEMs, and you're like, that's all great, Phil, but why do I need it, right? And do you need? That's a good question. Well, you should be prepared, because later on something may happen in your environment, and you want to know why or how it happened, or what even happened. Maybe you don't even know what happened. Maybe you just know that an event happened. Things got slow. You don't know why. You need to go look. It's a great place for you to, like I keep saying, centralize logs. If an attacker gets into a machine, the first thing they're going to try to do is cover their own tracks. So if you ship those logs off of the machine somewhere else, now he's got another barrier to changing those logs. And maybe you've already been alerted at that point. Nothing is worse than there being an incident and you coming back and people being like, so, what happened? And you're like, I don't know. We don't have logs. That actually happened recently in my travels. I was working with a company, and the admin deleted the logs by accident. He says it was by accident. And I don't see any other proof that it was malicious, so I'm going to go with it was an accident. He also accidentally emptied the recycle bin, but that could just be habit. Anyway, I was able to get the logs back, but it took like a month for me to get the data. So that's why I'm like, it's just better to move all the logs somewhere else. You don't have to worry about it. So that was I'm hitting around the 10-minute mark at this point. So that's a good introduction into what a SIEM is and why do you need it and why you should be prepared. And later on in this mini series, we'll be going through some others. We'll be actually setting up an elk stack. We'll be working with some of the other tools that are used in a security operations center. We'll be setting up pretty much an entire SOC. I already have a SOC starting, but I'm not going to go into the firewall aspects because that will expose too much of my security controls. But I might do maybe a virtual or something. I might do that actually. I'll just make it a virtual. Anyway, so that's the end of this video, and thank you for your time.